They walked out of bondage with nothing at all, with just faith and fabric. No stone houses, no safety nets, just tents. And why is that? Because Yahuah wanted them to understand that freedom isn't built on walls, it's built on dependence of Him. He brought them out of Mitsrayim, which is Egypt, and made them dwell in temporary shelters so that every generation would know that we only survive because He covers us. That is Sukkot, Feast of Booths, or Feast of Tabernacles. And Yahuah commanded it forever. Let's read it. So it's going to be Leviticus 23, and we'll start at verse 34. And Yahuah spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, On the 15th day of this 7th new moon is the festival of Sukkot, for 7 days to Yahuah. On the first day is a set-apart gathering. You do no servile work. So this is a Sabbath. For 7 days you bring an offering made by fire to Yahuah. On the 8th day there shall be a set-apart gathering for you, and you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahuah. It is a closing festival. You do no servile work. So this is also a Sabbath. And then also in Devarim, which is Deuteronomy 16, it's telling us to perform the festival of booths, or tabernacles, for 7 days, and you shall rejoice in your festival. And let me be very clear with y'all. This is not a Jewish tradition. This is not optional. In Zechariah 14, Yahuah even said that all nations will keep it in the future. Alright, so this is Zechariah 14:16. And it shall be that all who are left from all the nations which came up against Yerushalayim shall go up from year to to bow themselves to the sovereign Yahuah of hosts, and to celebrate the festival of Sukkot, which again is the Feast of Booths, or Feast of Tabernacles. And if we look in Yohanan, which is John 7, we even see that Yahusha keeps this. So honestly, I have just been diving into this past year. So this is my very first Sukkot that I'm keeping. And I saw a lot of issues with like people celebrating at all different times. But I try to follow exactly what the Bible tells us. I do not follow rabbinic calendars. I do not follow the sliver moon traditions. Scripture tells us to blow the ram's horn at the new moon. And the word for new moon is chodesh, which means renewing. The way I see it is like this. When a man shaves his beard, or his facial hair, renewing doesn't mean that it's fully visible. You can have this little bitty stubble, or really nothing because you just shaved it, but it is still renewing. So just like that, when the moon is 0%, now it is going into the renewing phase. It does not mean that it is already showing. So, according to Scripture, I begin the month on the new moon day, which would have been September 21st, sundown, to September 22nd, would be day 1 of month 7. And then the next day, which was September 22nd to 23rd, that was whenever the fall equinox happened, the autumnal equinox. And that just shows us in the book of Enoch, it tells us that we are in the right season to be doing these fall feasts. The spring equinox happened on March 20th, and then March 29th was the beginning of the first month. That was the new moon, so it was the beginning of the first month, day 1, March 29th. So, this is my understanding as of now. Maybe it will change the more I read, but I'm just trying to follow the Bible as close as I possibly can. If there's something that I missed, something that somebody can let me in on to give me the finality of that I'm doing it correctly or incorrectly, post a comment for me. But anyway, so I had to ask myself, how do I want to celebrate it this year? If it is a temporary dwelling, I would have loved to get a campsite and go camping with my family, but I did not plan that this year because I found out about all these feasts too late. But we are going to set up a tent in the yard. We like to eat outside. We like to do Bible study outside, even though it's loud. I'm sure you can hear. I live by refineries and they're just really loud. We're reading the scriptures nightly with what I showed you. We're having Bible lessons so they understand why we need to do these things and why it's commanded. We're singing, we're rejoicing, we're dancing. We took communion. Because remember, He commanded joy. So just praying together and just being in the moment with my family is amazing. I definitely have been trying to teach my children that this is their history and their future, because we didn't grow up under Yahuah. I grew up in a church, and I only knew the church doctrine. And then I got church hurt, and I decided I didn't want anything to do with any of it for years. So I raised my children up in the world for way too long, sadly. But he knew he would pull me out of it. And I am so blessed for it. Also, let me know how y'all are celebrating. I would love to hear. Post in the comments and let me know. We're going to build a little pillow fort in the living room and do a Bible study in there. And, again, just have fun. You don't have to have land. You don't have to have all these things. If you have a balcony, if you have a bed, if you have a little small space, dedicate it to Him. Make it work. He will see the obedience in that. So again, Sukkot is a rehearsal for the kingdom. So if y'all are saying that y'all are ready for Yahusha's return, then start dwelling with Him now. Return to His appointed times, not these pagan holidays as Halloween and Christmas and Easter. Don't do those. Return to His appointed times. This year, keep Sukkot.